Hi, this is Emily of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello, everybody. It's No Filter Friday, and it feels like it's been a long time since I've really been in this chair with a big giant glass of tea. And what are we going to do? We're going to chat. But first, before we chat, we're going to take a second and... Oh, who's here? Hang on a second. It's David Bobke. Hello, David Bobke. Does it sound okay? Tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts. You are integral to our situation. Share. Share on the page you manage? No, share on my timeline. All right, we're sharing, we're caring, we're doing all of the things. Wonderful. Okay. Sounds right. Good here. All right, wonderful. Fantastic. I like it. I like it when it sounds all right. That's what headphones are for in my case. So, as you can see, I have a face on today. And it's because I went to a meeting where I actually had, look like a professional. A few episodes ago, you may recall that I did an episode on HBO being with the first official network production house to employ intimacy coordinators across the board. It is a department that they're going to have on all of their productions from here on out. And when they announced it in the trades, there was this woman that is the head of said production coordinator, because she has an NPO in New York about intimacy coordinating. Apparently it was a thing in theater. Now they're bringing it to, film and television and new media and whatever else. But so I talked about her a couple episodes ago, and it was really awesome. I was really, really impressed with the situation. So I finally got to meet with her today because she's in town from New York. She's been intimacy coordinating on shows like The Deuce, and she's helping to prepare and train as much as you can, because it really comes from most of your own experience, but train as much as you can to get, to be put on other HBO sets around the country, or if they're shooting internationally, to help be the liaison between the director, the cast, the DP, the producers, like just making sure that whenever there is any sort of intimate scene going on, that everybody's cool, everybody's collected, everybody knows what's happening, everybody's comfortable, all that stuff. So I got to go to HBO today, and I haven't been to the HBO building in Santa Monica, and I'm realizing forever. There's a lady that I used to work with years and years ago, who's since left. She used to work out of that at that building for HBO, but it was awesome. That office is so beautiful. But what we talked about was how it came to be that the network wanted to do this, and it really does, regardless of #MeToo, or what anybody's thinking, for legal purposes, it definitely behooves who's ever producing or who is legally on the hook for these things. It behooves them to have an intimacy coordinator for just one more level of legal protection, because we're living California obviously is known to be lawsuit happy, but so were the rest of the world, and just the bad PR. The bad PR from, a movie or a TV show or whatever can sink the whole thing. Like, I think a really good example of that is the Dog's Life movie or whatever that Universal tried to put out. I don't know, like a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And it was a summer blockbuster they tried to do. Josh Gad was in it. Like, it was this whole big giant thing that they put together. They spent $1 billion on it. And a phone video leaked from set of them. Hello, Corey Thiessen. Thanks for coming in. A phone video leaked from set, and it was them like basically pushing a German Shepherd into like not a real river, but like for camp, like a green screen river. So the water's flowing in this tank, but it's like a blue screen kind of a situation. And your Corey Thiessen's going through a lot. Baby, aren't we all? Aren't we all? The end of the year, everything's got to get in at the last second, basically. But that bad press, just from forcing a German Shepherd into a fake river that it was trained to go into, just like it's trained to go into a bathtub or wherever else, that sank a huge blockbuster film. That was a summer tentpole for them. That was a big deal. So when you take those two contexts and wave them over each other, it's like an intimacy coordinator, or it's like just any level of extra protection that you can put in place to get rid of, a potential legal situation or a potential PR situation is money well spent. It's not really like a guild or a union position, so they're going to have to figure that out. And for now, HBO's like doing it as, kind of out of their like standards and practices, even though like you're not a legal person. It's kind of like studio, I would say studio brass keeping an eye on things, but if you could combine studio brass and like a first AD, that was kind of saw a bad Reiki master and other new age people. I've never seen any Reiki masters, so I couldn't tell you what a bad one is, but it sounds not fun. I think I met a regular Reiki master in a yoga class once, but that's about as far as that went. I don't know anything about that. Any hoozles. So it's they're working it out, and HBO is the first like official like studio to be like, this is a job, and this is, it has like network requirements for the situation, and sitting down and talking, like, because this is a new thing, like nobody has a resume for it, so I kind of had to like stitch together like my producing resume and my directing resume and my acting resume and like smush those things together. But most of my intimacy on set situations have come from the acting side, and where it got into a kerfuffle is because my producing brain was going, this isn't right, this isn't legal, this isn't how you do things, this is, not just this isn't appropriate or what's wrong or not wrong or whatever, but like just my producing brain being like, nope, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're in violation of this law, blah 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 blah, like things that in my mind every producer and every director should know. You should know these things, just like in, if you're a dentist, you should probably know the legal ins and outs of dentistry. Or if you're a car mechanic, you should probably know lemon laws or things of that nature. Like, I feel like producers and directors should just know these things. Do they teach these things in film school? No. They don't teach hardly anything in film school. Surprise, surprise. I think anybody that went to film school or kind of went to film school or thought about going to film school will tell you that they don't cover much. It's a really expensive way to sit around and watch movies and talk about them. But I'm the kind of person that reads, the manifests that come from the different guilds around the different negotiations, and reads what the rules are and how they changed and what the new rules are. Because I produce and act, I'm not allowed to like have any say in making the rules. Jack Guy, oh my gosh, buddy, I haven't seen you in forever, man. We need to hike. Jack Guy is a fabulous, fabulous photographer. He's one of the best, and he's on top of being a fabulous photographer, he's like basically the coolest guy in the world. Like the beer commercial, like coolest guy in the world, the most interesting man in the world. Like that guy wishes he was Jack Guy. That's how cool Jack Guy is, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and stand up paddleboarding with dolphins every day. Like the most interesting man in the world wishes he was Jack Guy, basically. But I'm glad he's here. Hello, thanks for coming by. Anyway, so it's kind of a new, interesting situation that HBO is trying to explore. But I will say, though, that it's really, really awesome that, like, within a year, basically, a major network / studio responded with an action and not just words, like an actual physical action, like they're trying to make changes. David Bobby says he wishes he was Jack. You do. I promise you. Go to any of his pages. You will wish you were him. Anyway, I really like this idea of physical, actual actions within the entertainment industry to deal with this situation, because obviously in the era of Me Too, we're begrudgingly sometimes like learning the error of our ways, and we're growing up and we're trying to be better, and we say that we're trying to be better. And I do see people nudes. Are you serious? Go somewhere. He decides he wants a tennis ball underneath the printer. This is ridiculous. Anyway, but we can sit around and talk about it and write articles and post things on social media, and people can tweet back and forth and hashtags and all this stuff. And a conversation's great, and it's definitely the first step, but it's not the only thing to do. Like, a conversation that's not followed up with action was basically a waste of breath, essentially. Like, so we need to do better. Eric Espinoza, speaking of people that do better, oh my goodness, Eric Espinoza, he does all kinds of better for lots of people. He works in he works in the fancy mayor's office of Los Angeles, and he does awesome stuff. I'm not even going to begin to try and describe what Eric does, because I wouldn't do him service. But you want to see some cool stuff happening, physical actions, Eric Espinoza is your dude. But I've seen people edit themselves, and people on set, they think about what they're going to say before they say it. They think about what they're going to do before they do it. There is a real step back, and getting personal with the man in the mirror as far as like what we do and what we say, and how we physically approach people, how we verbally approach people, and all that stuff is awesome, and it's wonderful. And that's great, because you have to be the change that you want to see, right? So, and it all starts with us. We only have control over ourselves if we're lucky. Hi, Jelly. And we have to go from there. And really, I mean, and that's kind of a great thing, because if I change myself, you change yourself, person next to, the next person changes themselves, and then on down the line, bing, bang, boom, we've got change. But it takes introspection and things like that, which I don't think is too much to ask out of an adult population. Oh, well, Corey Thiessen, some guy said he wanted to make me famous 2 years ago and said he was Illuminati. In my experience, they don't just come out and say things like that. But hopefully you just had an imitator and not the real thing, because that would be awful. Hopefully it was just some moron talking smack, basically. Anyway, but a real concrete action that could be followed by other studios and other production companies is a really, really, really awesome step for HBO to take and be the first, the first one to plant that flag and be like, this is what we do now. This is how it's supposed to be done. Or just trying something new and saying, you know what? This doesn't seem right. We're not doing good enough. We can do better. What, Jelly? My dogs are driving me nuts. They're absolutely crazy. They think that I'm going to take them out, and I'm not going to do that because I'm sitting here talking with you guys. Anywhoozle, I really, really love the fact that they're at least giving it, a real valiant effort. We'll see how this goes. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. I hope it does. I hope it makes a huge impact, because I've seen people exposed, horribly embarrassed, very insecure, and from all walks of it. Like, it's not just the actors that are actually doing the nudity that are, feeling some type of way about it. I've worked on a scene with a director who had never directed a sex scene before. And this guy couldn't even say words. He's like, he's like gesturing. He's like, could you maybe possibly, like, he was so very, very uncomfortable. And then on top of it, the other actor was very uncomfortable. We were in this like awful, disgusting old studio that we used to use. It's shut down now. It's so gross. It was gross. It was nasty. We can cover that. There's a cocksock episode. For my birthday episode was the cocksock episode, if you want to hear about that crazy story. But anyhoozles, it can be really, really hard on everybody, and especially if you have executive producers or any kind of studio brass being like, I need this. Why are you wasting time? Why are you burning money? Come on, let's go. Becomes this Judge Judy meme, basically. David Bobke asks, have you ever tried pretending to do this show to see if the dogs went nuts then too, or if they'll only do it when you're actually doing the show? To be fair, they do go quite nuts quite a bit, but like they always want to go out, obviously, or in their minds they do. Jelly doesn't actually want to go out. She wants to go out so when she comes back she can eat. It's just a game that we play. But they do go after toys that they hadn't a single care about for months, and then all of a sudden, because it's underneath my desk, they're like, ooh, let me get it now. Like, I think maybe they think we're playing a game or something. I don't know. They're strange creatures. They're very, very, they're a bunch of little weirdos. But that's besides the point. It's rough on everybody. Like, I've seen people almost break laws during intimate scenes because the director has this vision that he wants to fulfill, and you can't be doing that. That can, you can end up wasting a lot of money shooting something that you can't actually show, because the big thing with budgets is that the budget needs to be seen on the screen. If you are spending money and it's not seen on screen, the audience like literally doesn't care. It doesn't help you from a business standpoint. So if that money shows up on screen, great, wonderful, spend it if it's appropriate. If it doesn't show up on screen, the likelihood that it was appropriate spending is next to nothing. But you have to take the time to put these things out. And it's when you have directors that are, off on this tangent of like fulfilling their vision, they just want to play. That's all they want to do. They finally got this world built and together, and it's happening, and they have the ways to shoot it and make it the look that they want. They just want to play with this toy. And I get it. They want to play in their sandbox and make their castles and their mud pies and whatever, their moats, like whatever it is that they want to make. That's great. But the beauty of having an intimacy coordinator or someone having these hard conversations or these hard, physical directions can help calm the director down and be like, okay, cool, you can totally play in your sandbox. Let me go build you the parameters of your sandbox real fast, and then you can do whatever you want in it. Knock yourself out. Go crazy. Have as much fun as you want to have. It's David Bobby dogs, gotta love them. I know I do love mine, but they are rotten. I want everybody, like, I always want everybody to be happy and like find a happy medium that works for everybody, because I think that's one of the biggest draws to this business, although it is disgusting and awful and raunchy and backstabby and just an all-around cesspool of deprivation. One of the great things about it is that we get to work with people that we want to work with for the most part, or at least when you get to a certain level, you could be like, yeah, I don't want to mess with that person. But that's one of the great things about this. Like when you work in an industry where your jobs are no less than 12 hours a day, or it's realistically more likely between 12 and 15 hours a day, you spend more time with these people than you do your actual friends or your actual family. And that includes your spouse, your kids, all that stuff. Like, you have a real serious bond with these people that I always say, and it sounds silly, but like, it's kind of its own animal. And I think one of the great things about this industry, because they're few and far between, is that you get to work with people that like you have a real serious bond with. Like, when Audrey Hepburn's makeup artist died, she's like, I don't want to work anymore. And I get that. I get it. Like, you need your people. Like, that's news. I swear to God, if you do not get it together, if you don't have like your people, then there's no point in doing it. There's absolutely no point in being in this business, because that's the best part about it. And if you're just here with, everything's got pros and cons, but you have a long list of cons and like no pros, then there's no point in doing it. And really, the money's gone out. I can tell you that right now. The money is gone. I saw this crazy casting yesterday that I don't think I'm going to be able to get over it. Like, I think I've told 5 people so far, and I'm just going to keep squawking about it. I saw this casting yesterday. No joke. I wish I was lying, but I'm not. $150 for 12, non-union commercial. Actor must provide their own suit of armor. Their own suit of armor. What, like, you have the money to buy advertising space, you have the money to push out a product, but you don't have money to rent your own specific costume. Are you serious? This has to be a joke. And that's what we're dealing with. But we're living in this era now that technology has given us all these great ways to film that are way cheaper. Red has a phone now. Like, you can shoot 4K with a phone. It's insane. I have 2 really, really awesome friends that made this movie called Tangerine a couple years ago. And it's the first movie ever made on an iPhone. And they used anamorphic lenses with it, but it's a gorgeous movie. It was the toast of Sundance, and they've taken it all over the world. They won Critics' Choice, maybe. I know they won Indie Spirits, but maybe some Critics' Choice too. Like, it was just amazing. But with Aries and Reds and things like that, it's just so much cheaper to shoot stuff. And it's kind of saturated the market with a lot of people that I've always fondly referred to as hobbyists. They go out and shoot stuff and like nothing really ever happens with it, or they shoot stuff that's not viable in a business sense. And it's not even like a festival piece. Like, they couldn't even get into a festival they tried with it. And then there's a lot of people making movies for the sake of doing it. And if, when they're doing their press rounds, they get asked, oh, so why did you make this movie and why'd you do it right now? Because that's what they ask on everything. And they don't have an answer. They have no idea. Or if they do have an answer, it certainly didn't come across in their film or their, whatever it is they made. So it's, on one hand, it's awesome that we have all this new technology to play with and make stuff, and it's really, really cool. On the other hand, it has brought people into the business, quote unquote, business end of it, that aren't really here to do business. They're here just to play around and get on their social media pages and be like, oh yeah, chilling on set, which, by the way, is my least, like, I hate that hashtag. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I always tell anybody that works for me, I do not want to see the chill. Oh, Jimmy Kovac, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in forever. Jimmy and I did driver's ed together when we were 15, and it was so much fun. We had this woman, big old lady, that was the coolest driver's ed instructor ever. We would just drive around to different food places in Ann Arbor, and she would be like, if you make me, like, we drive around to these different food places in Ann Arbor, pick stuff up, and she'd be like, if you make me spill this chow mein, I'm gonna fail you. And we both passed. Nobody's chow mein spilled. And, obviously Jimmy and I are both Responsible drivers. No chow mein spills on our watch, but she was awesome. She was the coolest. Anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with me too, but she was awesome. I'm forgetting what I'm saying. Gosh darn it. Dang it, Jimmy, you distracted me. You distracted me from my spiel. And I just dropped my phone. I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess. But I'm so glad to be back in this chair because I was shooting on like a couple different things for like a few weeks, and it was like 14 hours a day in a basement, out in the cold, shooting nights. I mean, it was kind of rough. It was a little bit rough on me. I'm getting kind of old. I'm not really down for the struggle anymore like I used to be on stuff that I'm acting in anyway. Something I'm producing in, I'll figure it out and be fine. But I have to like look pretty or kind of cute, or at least have it together, and we're shooting super long hours, or at night, or in the cold, or in the heat. I'm really not doing well with that stuff anymore. I look at other people that I've worked with for a long time, and they've been working their whole lives, and they're, you know, kind of up there in the years, and it shocks and awes me that they're still so ready and able to work, and they can switch from days to nights to splits and back again in a half a second, and they're still rocking it. It's amazing. I'm like, I just turned 30 and I still can't keep up. I can't. I suck at it. It's really hard. But anyway, the conclusion to this episode is be the change that you want to see in your work, in your school, in your personal life. Think of some actions that you can take to be better and make things better for yourself and the people around you. Actual actions. Not thoughts, not words, not ranting on social media, but actual physical actions that you can take. And I will leave you with that. Thanks for dropping by to hashtag No Filter Friday on Public House Media. If you're a podcast listener, which I feel like everybody's, the podcast people have been getting a little bit more love these days. Podcasts on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, where else? Google Play, Google Podcasts, all those places. Give it a like or a comment or some stars, a review, things like that, and check out other shows on Public House Media. And I will see you all next week. See you later. Bye, 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 bye.